various blocks, try block, various forms of except blocks, various blocks of except blocks. Inside of it, there are various forms of exceptions, various forms of types of exceptions that is already discussed. And another part is various forms of exception, except blocks, various forms of except blocks. Okay, now it is the time to move forward. And explanation for the keywords, explanation for the keywords already we discussed. Okay, so explanation for the keywords also we discussed. Yeah, so coming to the point of it, now it is the time to see how many keywords are there, dear students. Five keywords are there. Today is also very, very important session. Try to understand more easily, very quickly. How many forms, how many types of keywords are there? Come on, start with. Quickly, everybody must understand. Five keywords are there. Handling the exception. That is a concept we discussed already in the class. Types of handling the exceptions in Python is nothing but converting the technical error messages into user-friendly error message. To do this process in exception handling, we have five keywords: try, except, else, finally, and then rise. Okay, so almost I completed this many, and we are going to today discussing about what? Rise keyword I am going to discuss. Rise. Okay, so today's concept is two important things we are going to discuss. One is called what? Rise. One is called rise. And one more is called what, I am going to discuss one more component. One more discussion I am going to discuss. So what is the topic name I am going to discuss? And one more thing is types of exceptions. How many types of exceptions are there? How many types of exceptions are there? How many types of exceptions? Two types. One is called what? One is called predefined exceptions and then programmer defined exceptions. So far, and I told you the definition of what? Predefined exceptions, right? These are the predefined exceptions. Today we are going to learn about development of programmer defined exceptions is another continuation topic. So this raise keyword will be discussing with what, this raise keyword discussing with respect to programmer defined exceptions, which is a very, very, very important in real time. So development of, I'm talking about what? Programmer defined exceptions. Development of what? Programmer defined exceptions we are going to talk. So very simple to understand here. Simple to understand here. Development of what? Programmer defined exceptions. Right. So here we are talking about what exactly programmer defined exceptions are. Development of programmer or user defined exceptions. Very simple. Let us start. So programmer defined exceptions I already said to you. So let me take the definition of it. What we discussed already, that I am taking it very easily here. So these exceptions, programmer defined exceptions, are developed by whom? Python programmers, and they are available as a part of Python project, and whose role is to deal with what? Whose role is to deal with which problems? Common problems. Whose role is to deal with what problems? Common problems. Whose role is to deal with which problems? Common problems. What are the common problems, sir? That I want to say to you. Predefined exceptions are dealing with what? Universal problems. Programmer defined exceptions are dealing with what problems? Common problems. And I told in the last class itself, some of the common problems are, let me take them and let me continue it. Some of the common problems are Some of the common problems are attempting to enter invalid PIN in ATM-based applications. In ATM-based applications. Attempting to enter what? Invalid PIN. Invalid PIN is nothing but what? What do you mean by invalid PIN? Invalid PIN is nothing but what? Wrong input. Wrong input is nothing but what? Invalid PIN is nothing but what? Wrong input. Wrong input is nothing but what? Exception. Exception means what to create? Exception means what to create? Exception means we need to create what? Object we need to create. Object we need to create. To create an object, what is required? Class is required. Class is required. Right or not? Class is required. One class is required. So that class, we need to create an object of that. To create that object, we require one type of class is required. That class is called what? Programmer defined exceptions we can call. Programmer defined exception we can call. Next, attempting to enter invalid username and password. Attempting to enter invalid username and password. To enter the invalid username and password in our Gmail or somewhere else. Invalid username and password is also called what? Wrong input. Wrong input requires what? Exception. Exception means what? Object to create. To create an object, what is required again? To create an object, what is required again? Class is required. That class is not there in the predefined API. Predefined class is not there. We need to define that class. Okay. Attempting to enter, attempting to withdraw more amount than existing balance. Attempting to withdraw more amount than existing balance. Attempting to withdraw more amount than what? Existing balance. More amount than existing balance means what? Attempting to enter more amount than existing balance, which is nothing but what? Exception class is necessary to define it. Exception class is necessary to define it. So compulsory we need to go for generating that exception. How do you do that? We need to go for programmer defined exceptions. That is what I am going for. Steps for development of what? Programmer defined exceptions. Are you able to understand me? Are you able to understand me? Shall I go for the steps? Shall I go for the steps? Yes. Fine. So let us look at that. In whatever the way predefined exceptions are developed, same way we develop our own exceptions. Same way we develop our own exceptions also. To develop our own exceptions, we will go for class concept is there. Class concept. Today we must understand something more and more important information we need to understand today. So something we need to understand, something more and more information we need to use it. So how to use it, we are going to discuss. Right? Let us look at that. Suppose zero division error you take it, zero. So I'm going for discussing about what? Important concept I'm going to discuss. Zero division error. Zero division error. What is zero division error, my dear students? All of you, please get quickly. There are three important steps are there here. What is this is called? No. All of you should understand. What is zero division error? What is zero division error? No. Who are all said it is a wrong answer. Yeah, D. John, it's called a class name. It is called a class name. It is an exception class name. I told you that it is called what? One type of class name. That too, it is an exception class name. It is an exception class name. Zero division error is one of the exception class name. Zero division error is one of the exception class name. Very perfect. Zero division error is one of the exception class name. Value error is also called what? One exception class name. Is also called one exception class name. Is also called one type of exception class name. Type error is also called one type of exception class name. All of them are called exception class names. how they developed, do you know, my dear students? Do you know how they developed it? So to develop any type of class, today we are using, of course, from the beginning onwards, I'm using from the beginning onwards, we are using class, object, like that. So to develop a class, anyhow, in the object-oriented programming, we are going to see in detail. In object-oriented programming, we are seeing in detail. In object-oriented programming, we are developing in detail. In object-oriented programming, we are developing classes concept in detail. We are going to discuss in detail. But here, we have to learn some important information in today's class. Right? So let us start discussing about one important discussion here. Zero division error. This is a class name. To develop any type of class, I am using a keyword called class. I'm using the keyword called what? Class. About the classes concept, I am going to discuss. What is the name of the concept? Zero division error. Zero division error. It is the name of the class. Class name. How they developed the class? With a keyword called class. In further, after the files concept is over, I am introducing the OOPS features. There you are going to learn in detail of it. Okay, nothing to worry about it. Class zero division error. Okay, like that they developed one more class. I will develop class value error. Class next I will take class type error. Like that, any type of class you want to develop it. Which kind of keyword you will use? Class you will use it. You will use what? Class you will use it. Fine. So you will use the keyword called what? Class. Fine. And all these kind of classes, do you know, students, 1 minute I want to take it. 1 minute I want to write one small diagram. In today's class I want to talk about more content I want to explain. So this is, I am taking some important information I am going to talk about it. Yeah. So this is called one type of class. What is the class name here? What is the class name I am taking? Zero division error. Next is called what you know. Zero division error. Next is called value error. Next is called what? Value error. Next is called what you know? Type error. Next is called syntax error. So you know some of the errors. Next you know indentation error. Next is what you know? Index error. You already know this kind of things. Index what? Error. Next what do you know? Name error. Yes, name error. Next what do you know? Key error. Key error. Next what do you know? Module not found error. Am I correct? Module not found error. Yes, sir. Next, you know, file not found error, which I am going to tell you further. So many number of exceptions are there. Module not found error. Next, what do you know? Module not found error. Next, file not found error. Key error, name error, index error, indentation error. Next is called IO error. IO error. Next is what do you know? File already exist error. File exist error. So file exist error. Next is called what you know? File exist error. Next is called what you know? IO stop error. Attribute error. Next we are going to discuss about attribute error. Next, like that, we are going to get lot of exceptions in the programming of Python. Lot of exceptions in the programming of Python. So I'm going to take attribute error. Like that, OS error. Okay, OS error. Like that, lot of errors are going on coming. So these are going on coming, etc. I'm going on writing like this. See that these are all called what? Different type of, all these kind of are called what? Predefined exceptions. These are all called what? My dear students, carefully try to understand. These are all called what? Predefined exceptions we can call. Predefined exceptions we can call. All these exceptions, these are all called what? Predefined exceptions. See, predefined exceptions. How they developed it? With the class name. And these classes are getting the properties. Which properties? Exception properties are coming. Exception properties are coming. Exception properties are coming. Exception properties. That means there is one exception class is there. There is one super class is there. That is, I'm just trying to write, my dear students. Of course, it is nothing but little oops features are available in our class. Try to catch me. I hope you will understand me, and there is no doubt in that. What is the class name here? Exception is a super class for all the classes in Python. Like that, I am a Python trainer, you are my Python student. And who is our guru? Who is our guru? Who is the guru of Python? Who is the guru of Python? Rosam. Rosam is the guru of Python. So from there, we are inheriting all this knowledge. From there, we are inheriting all this knowledge. Like that, the word I am using that is called what? Inheritance. We are using the word called what? Inheritance. I am using the word called what? Inheritance. So when I started using exception here, exception is something like a base class for all the exceptions. Exception is a base class for all the exceptions. Dear students, I'm trying to say exception is a super class for all the exceptions in Python. So I'm writing one more thing here, base exception, base exception. What is this exception or base exception is called? This is called what? This is called what? Superclass. This is called what? Superclass or base class. I'm writing here base oblique what? Superclass. Superclass for all types of exception, for all exceptions. Superclass for all exceptions here. So coming to the point back, tomorrow if you develop your own exception, for your own exception also, who is the superclass? From this exception or base exception, inheritance property, exception properties are inherited here. Yes, mono. Parent is also correct, but a parent is a normal terminology. We call it as an exception. Base or superclass we can call. Okay. So from this place only, all the exceptions are inheriting here. All the exception properties are inherited. Suppose if you want to become a musician, class, musician you want to become. You require whom? You require a guru, right or not? You require a guru or not? So that guru is nothing but, you need to write inheritance. See the symbol of it. In the bracket, you need to write the name of the guru. That is nothing but a magical guru. You are writing magical guru. It is nothing but what? This symbol says that inheritance. Class musician is inheriting from where? Class musician is inheriting. Let me take one small downloading that pointer I will take. So I will take it. Yeah. So coming to the point back, here I am trying to say what I am trying to write here. This magical guru is the base class. I'm getting this entire thing inside of where? Class called what? musician. It is called a subclass. It is called a subclass. It is called a superclass. It is called a superclass. Like a normal life, if you take it, normal life, if you take it, if you come to the point of it, class, child, class, child is you are a child, and you are a parent. You are a parent. Is your parent superclass? Parent will give the properties to the child, like that. Class division error, zero division error, which is more than enough now in today's class. Which is more than enough in today's class. Come on to the point back. Zero division error. I can write what here? Exception, colon, pass, I will write it. That's it. How they developed it? Class zero division error, exception, and then they said pass. Value error, value error. What is this now? Exception, colon, what here? Pass. Pass. Type error, exception, what is this now? Pass. Value error of exception. Type error of what? You can write even base exception also, no problem. Is this is understandable, my dear students? Is it understandable? All of you, please confirm. So it's very simple, ma. Any exception you want to develop it, you must take. Choose the class name. Step number 1. And that class must inherit the features from either exception class or from where? Base exception class. Either from exception class or from where? Base exception class. Either from exception class or from where? Base exception class. You must inherit it. So ultimately, we are understanding the exception or from base exception. Are you able to understand my points? Right, my dear students. Right. Similarly, I want to develop my own exception. To develop my own exception, what should I do? For example, class, I want to develop pin kind of thing. How do you develop class? What is the name of that? Pin error of what? Excellent. So I need to take what? Exception, colon what? Pass. Class pin error of what? Exception of what? Pass here. Class pin error of exception of pass. Simple. You want to develop anything? Class withdraw error. I will take withdraw error of what I am taking? Exception. I say pass. Pin error, exception, pass. Class withdraw error, exception, pass. Are you able to understand my points? Yes. Class pin error, exception, pass. Class withdraw error, exception of pass. So what is that? First thing is choose the class name, and the second step is inheriting the things from where? Exception or from where? You can write even base exception also, no problem. Any one of the class you can take it. What is the first step? If you understand me, first step is what? Choose the programmer defined class. Very, very important, my dear students. Very important. Choose the programmer defined class. Choose the programmer defined class. Right. Second part is called what? Choose the programmer defined class. So see here, the programmer defined class must inherit from the predefined classes, must inherit from I will write either exception or what? Base exception or what? Base exception class. So here exception, if you want I can continue. Here exception oblique base exception or the predefined classes or the predefined classes provides inheritance provides exception handling properties to its subclasses subclasses. So this is the first point you need to remember. Only 2 steps. And the third step, yes ma, see Ramanju. So is there any difference between error and exception? In English, we call it as an exception. In Java, they are using exception terminology. They are using as an error terminology here. As far as the technicals are concerned, you see, every class name ends with an error. As far as the technicalities are concerned, there is no such differences, ma. So try to understand Ramanuj. Please look at it. So error we call it as normally, but we call it as technically like this. I hope you understand. Okay, right. So next is called what? This class is not only used by one person, it is used by many of the people. So save it on some file name. I am writing, save it on some file name, or otherwise not necessary, leave it. What is an example, sir? What is an example I am giving? What is an example? Define an exception subclass. Define a programmer defined exception class. Define a programmer defined exception class. Define a programmer defined exception class for dealing with. Define a programmer defined exception class for dealing with pin error, invalid pin. Yes. How do you do that? Class. What is that now? Pin error of what? Exception. That's it. For single line code I am writing. Python code. Even one line you can't believe it. Python code. This is simple line Python code. And dear students, I am telling to you, the coming days, the life is only with Python. Keep it in mind. Learn very perfectly. Don't be an unpracticed student. Coming days is only with Python. There is no doubt in that. Coming days is only with Python. I am telling to you, make it the words as granted. Because most of the engineering courses are coming out of the traditionals. Old traditional system is converting into Python, ML, artificial intelligence, data science. That's it. Coming days. Immediately question is coming on, sir, what about the Java? Of course, even a most experienced person in the Java programming, I am also getting little doubt about it. Because almost 25 years, last September 28, up to 25 years, I'm with the Java only. In my working place, in my company place, I'm with the Java. And of course, simultaneously, I'm working with Python also. From the last 10 years onwards, I'm taking with the Python. Still, Java coding is, people are feeling, the companies are feeling Java is little difficult. Coding is okay. Since we are in the industry, yes. So, coming to the fine. Coming to the point of it, coming days, now don't expect today or tomorrow when the jobs will be coming, sir. Not like that. It's not a question. Coming days is totally with Python, because companies are slowly migrating to the side of what? Python. That's why it is the best time for you to learn very well and be ready, right? This is what I want to advise you. That's why be perfect and try to learn the things. Yes, ma. Riyaj, that you are perfect, that you are perfect. There is no doubt in that. Okay, that's so. Learning Java and Python from our classes is nothing but a knife with both the sides sharpness. Okay, there is no doubt in that. There is no doubt in that. So that's what you have a dual skills. That is my advice for all of you also. That was my advice for all of you. Learn both the skills. That was my advice. But based on the things what is happening in the industry, I clearly come to know daily so many changes are happening. Daily so many things are happening, right? And that's why you be perfect with Python. First, be perfect with Python. Later, we can think of other kind of things, right? Right, mom. Let me move forward. Class pin error and what exception, and then pass. Right. Next, one more thing. And one more thing I'm saying to you, and Python learning just only up and downs is not enough. We have to learn in deep of it. In deep of it. That is called Python learning. Right? Yes. So next, one more class I want to define. Define a programmer defined class for invalid pin number. Next is called invalid withdrawals. Another example I want to go for it. Another example I want to go for it. What is another example? Let us copy paste. Let us copy paste the same thing. So I'm saying that define a programmer defined exception class for dealing with what? Invalid withdraw. Dealing with what? Invalid withdraw. Right? Withdraw. Invalid withdraw the money. Withdraw the amount. Yes. Invalid withdraw the amount. What is the Python code here? I will write it. The code here as what? Withdraw error. Withdraw error. Fine. Of what here? I can write happily what? Base exception. Base exception, comma, pass. Base exception, comma, pass. Right? Fine. Invalid withdraw amount, sir. Right? Done. So like this, we can develop any type of exception. Dear students, do you feel this is diagram which I written is called exception handling hierarchy chart we can call. I just want to write it here. Exception handling. I'm writing handling hierarchy chart. Exception handling hierarchy chart. Okay. So exception handling hierarchy chart, which is going to be calling. So coming to the point back here, exception handling hierarchy chart I am writing here. So very, very simple, dear students. So exception handling hierarchy chart. If somebody asks you tomorrow, who is the superclass for all the exceptions in Python? What do you say? Who is the superclass for all the exceptions in Python? What is your answer, please? Super. Exception or what? Base exception. Exception or what? Base exception. Very nice. Nicely remembered. And all our exceptions which we are seeing are called what? All the exceptions which we are seeing are called what, my dear students? Are called exception subclasses we can call. Exception subclasses we can follow. So coming to the point back, here we are going to do, right? Very, very simple. Very, very simple. These are all called what? Exception subclasses. Predefined exceptions. Also, I will write it or I can also say, or I can say exception subclasses they are called. Exception subclasses they are called. Okay, ma? Can I move forward? Exception subclasses we can call. Can I move forward, my dear students? Yes. Please open your notebook, all of you. Let us start one example. We will start the example. And we will go for raise keyword. We are ready to do the raise keyword. Yeah. So shortly we will come to this part. Open your notebook. Write down. Develop an exception subclass. Develop an exception subclass. Develop an exception subclass for for dealing with for dealing with for dealing with division by for dealing with division by zero problems, for dealing with division by zero problems, for dealing with division by zero problems, for dealing with what? Division by zero problems. For dealing with division by zero problems. Or ORR, one more way. ORR, one more way. ORR, define an exception subclass. Define an exception subclass. Define an exception subclass. Define an exception subclass which works like zero division error, which works like zero division error, which works like zero division error. Yes. Which works like what? Zero division error. That means, in a written test point of view, they want to develop some class name which works like zero division error. Which works like what? Zero division error. Let me save this code. Let me development of programmer or what? User defined exceptions. Programmer or what? User defined exceptions. Development of programmer defined, user defined exceptions. So I will take this part. So let me save this code because it's useful for me to do this. Yeah. Anvita, base exception is nothing but a class name. You can use either exception or base exception. Anything you can use it. Any class name you can use it. Okay? So any class name, just to make you to understand that there are two classes are there. One is called exception, one more is called base exception. Any one you can use it. Yeah. So first, let us go to the program part. Now I am taking, look at my dear students, all of you, class, because we are going to discuss a big case study also. That is my tomorrow session. Today I want to talk about the exception class name, how to develop it. Yeah, class, what I am doing, KVR division error. KVR division error. KVR division error. Of what? Exception. That's it. Pass. Class KVR division error. What is KVR division error? Can anybody tell to me? What is KVR division error? What is the KVR division error? Come on, quickly tell me. I want to know quickly. Exception class name, exception subclass name, programmer defined exception class name, programmer defined exception, this is called. Okay, fine guys. Now I'm giving a file name called I'm giving excepc.py. It is called a file name, and acts as what? Module name. Because I will use this exception class name wherever I like it. That's why except.py. Now I am saving it. Be careful, my dear students. I am going to say except.py. Right. Now, next I am going to, all of you dear students, carefully understand. This is a code you need to write it. Write down this in your notebook. Write down this. Quickly write down. Because in every batch, I will give you this to write it. First time I am asking you to write in the class. Come on, dear students, all of you write down quickly. After finishing that, you tell me that finished, then I will move forward. Done now? Done. Okay, done. So it is done. Now it is completed. Fine. So let us move to the further. Yeah. Next, second phase example I am going to start. See, another one I am going to discuss. Like in real world, how we develop exceptions, we are talking like that. How we develop like that, we are talking in the class. Okay, na? Right. Very, very simple, my dear student. Class is over. Now I want to take one function name. One function name. What is that? DEF, division is my function name. Division is my function name. There, it is receiving two values. Two values it is receiving. This is called what? Function name. What is my function name? div op dot py. Also treated as what? File name. File name. And treated as module name. Treated as what name? Module name. Yeah. Now division is an operation. So how many values are coming in this place of division? How many values are coming? Two values are coming. Two values are coming. Right? Two values are coming. Two values are coming. A comma B. Pass. A comma B. Pass. Two values are coming. A comma B. Pass. Now I am opening this. Now tell me, according to your knowledge, what we used to do earlier, C is equal to A by B, we used to do it. Very carefully and sincerely try to answer. Very carefully and sincerely try to answer my questions. Here, A is equal to 10, B is equal to 0. A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 0. A is equal to 10 and B is equal to what? 0. Then tell me, A is equal to 10, B is equal to 0 means what is happening internally? When Python environment is computing 10 by 0, it is substituting internally. Will the PVM will do this? Will the PVM will do that calculation? No, sir. Now tell me, what PVM will do? That is my question. What PVM will do? What PVM will do? You know? No, 1 minute, all of you. This is called what? Exception is occurring. Exception is occurring. When exception is occurring, what PVM will do? Do you know, students? 1 minute, 1 minute. It will come out of it. No doubt in that. When an exception is occurring, it will come out of it abnormally terminated. Abnormally terminated. It comes out of it. It generates what? Technical error message. But to do that A, B, C steps, what PVM will do? What PVM will do? It will raise an exception, right or not? It will create an object of what? Whether you remembered or not, these points I already told you. I will open it. Exceptions. Because my points are so powerful for you that you have to remember like anything. Introduction to exception handling. See, last points, to do this ABC, to do this, see, when the exception is occurring, to do the above A comma B comma C steps, A comma B comma C operations, internally, PVM creates an object with respect to what? Exception class. So, PVM creates an object of exception class. That point I told you already. PVM will do what you know. It will raise the exception. It raises the exception. Creates the exception. Creates object of what? Creates an object of which one? Zero division error. And raises the exception automatically because it is a predefined exception now. raises the exception automatically. Automatically raises the exception automatically. PVM, what PVM will do? Create an object of which class? Create an object of what? Zero division error, and raises the exception automatically. Raises the exception automatically. Raising means what? Raising is nothing but what? Hitting. Nothing but what? Generating. When a denominator is zero, it is hitting the exception. Hitting is nothing but what? It is rejecting. It is just saying that I am coming out of it. Just nothing but when you enter your PIN number wrong, it abnormally stops. Stopping is nothing but it is hitting its inability to do that. It raises an exception. Suppose if college people are something, so they are doing against your students' rules. What you will do? You will raise your voice. You will raise your voice. Raising the voice. Nothing but what? Hitting the exception. I hope you are understanding. You will raise the strike. You will raise an objections. Raising is nothing but hitting. Are you understanding, my dear students? When 10 by 0, PVM is automatically raising an exception. Which exception is raising? Zero division error. Tell me, when the exception is occurring internally, what PVM will do, my dear students? When an exception is occurring internally, what PVM will do? Come on, tell me. Yeah, quickly. It raises an exception. It raises an exception, right or not? Raising an exception is nothing but come on, fast. It raises an exception is nothing but what? Internally it creates an object of it. Right? Coming to the point of it, when it is going to do, what will do? It creates an object of that and raises an exception. If something is abnormal, we need to raise an exception. Similarly, if anything is predefined, it raises an exception. Today I am not using the zero division error. Zero division error I am not doing. I want to raise my own exception. When do you raise your own exception? When denominator is 0. Are you able to follow me? If, what is the denominator value here? B double equal to 0. A small example, instead of using zero division error, we are using KVR division error. If B is equal to 0, ask your PVM, raise the exception on your own. Make the PVM to raise the exception. Earlier, PVM raises an exception internally. Now, explicitly, my own exception I am raising it. Can you tell me now? B is equal to 0. B is equal to 0 means? Which one is a 0? Numerator or denominator? Come on to the point. Numerator or denominator? Denominator is 0. If denominator is 0, what will happen? It creates an object of what? Raising the exception. To raise the exception, I will use the keyword called what? Raise. What is an exception? KVR division error. KVR division error. Raise is a keyword used for raising the exception. Is used for hitting the exception. When denominator in certain condition is satisfied, if that condition is satisfied, makes a JVM to raise an exception. Right? Are you understanding the keyword called raise? Once you say raise, once this exception is raising, further statements will not execute. Suppose if you write, as somebody says that print invalid number, don't enter, something like that. When you say if that statement, else other statements will execute because of raise. Suppose your PIN number is wrong, you are saying that invalid PIN number, try again. Other statements will execute in the program. I don't want other statement to execute in the program. I want to terminate then and there. That's why I'm using which keyword? Raise keyword. Dear students, is all of you understand this word? Is all of you understand? Please confirm it, everybody. Raise KVR division error. Good. If it is not the case, so I'm writing here, else I'm writing else, I'm writing else. What is that else I'm writing? Else. I say C is equal to A by B, print of division. Or I can say return C, I will say return C. I will return C. That's it. Return C. So raise is a keyword used for hitting the exception. I can say here raise keyword. Here raise keyword is used for hitting the exception. Hitting the exception. Generating the exception. Hitting is nothing but what? Generating the exception. Hitting is nothing but generating the exception. Else C is equal to A by B. Return C. Hitting the exception. Is it understandable, my dear students? Very good. Coming to the main program here. Now I am writing what here? Main program I am writing. Okay, main program I will write separately. See, this is a function raising an exception. Be careful, my dear students. Let us save this code. And write this code once again by yourself. Please write this code again, ma. Write in your notes, write this code once again. I will wait for just 1 minute. Just for 1 minute I will wait it. Just go on writing this keyword. Write this keyword. Right. Coming to the point of it. Right. So please write it. After finishing that, I'll go for the next one. Is it okay? Now I will move to the next part of the discussion. Yeah. So let's go to the main program. See how many things here. What? A function using exception. This is the previous one is called what? Development of exception. See in this place it is called a development of exception. You go to that previous place. You just write down there. Here write down previous program. What you have written? Division. KVR division error comes under development of what? Programmer defined exception class. Programmer defined exception class comes under development of programmer defined exception class. Okay, please mention this also in your notebook. And divop.py. Why I'm making you to write this is because the same code which I'm writing in a bigger application, you have to understand very easily. divop.py is comes under what? Now I will write it. Here div division I'm writing division of this one is comes under what? A comma B are comes under, is comes under, is comes under common function performing performing division of two values, division of two values, and raising an exception and hitting an exception, hitting or generating an exception, generating an exception, generating an exception, generating an exception which was already developed, generating an exception which was already developed, which was already developed, already developed. So this is comes under the phase number 2. One is development of an exception. Second is called what? Development of an exception and raising the exception. That is called the second part of it. Second part of it. Now I am going to talk about the third part. Third part I am going to discuss. What is the third part? Please carefully try to understand. Everybody try to understand. So now I am going to take Python here. What is that now? What is that now? Now something like division demo dot.py. So you also ready to be careful and try to understand. This is a main program. This is a main program. This is a main program. What is this main program is doing? Accept two values. Pass the two values to the division function. Accept two values. And moreover, you try to understand one thing, students. Raise KVR division error. It is a class name. Is this class name is present in this program? First of all, you tell me this. I forget to tell you one thing. KVR division error is a class name. Is it present in the same program? Is it present in the same program? No. It was present in where? Previous module. What is the previous module? EXCEPT. A module is a collection of what? Variable names, function names and class names. Here I need to write what? From EXCEPT, from EXCEPT, what is this EXCEPT? Some EXCEPT is called keyword or what, ma? This is some keyword, I think so. Yeah, let it be, ma. I will take this. I will save as 1 minute, my dear student. This EXCEPT, I will take EXCEP. I will take this EXCEP. 1 minute. You also try to change the file name because there is some keyword is there, it seems, on that name. I will take EXCEP dot this one. Okay. EXCEP. I will remove that EXCEPT. EXCEPT, I will remove it. Okay now? Right. Fine. So EXCEP, this one is. You also change your program, please. EXCEP. Okay. Import our class name. What is my class name here? KVR division error is my class name. Please, you also try to change it. Otherwise, you will feel difficulty later. Yeah. So my class is done. Imported and then class is taken here. Okay, well and good. Saved it. Now coming to the main program, I want to accept two values. X1 is equal to int of input of enter first value. Enter first value. Okay. Enter first value. X2 is equal to X2 is equal to enter second value. Input enter second value. Now I am saying that enter second value. X1 and X2. X1 and X2. Enter second value. Enter first value and second value. Okay. Now what I am trying to tell you, these two values you try to send it to whom? You try to send it to whom? Division function. Division function. You try to send it to division function. So try to send. How do you send it now here? How do you send it now? Division of x1 comma x2. x1 comma x2. Division of x1 comma x2. Division of x1 comma x2. x1 comma x2. What is x1 and x2? All the values which you read from the keyboard. Division is a function which is present in where div op dot py. We need to import that also. We need to import. What is that? From div op, import, what is that? Division. Import what? Division. I must go for it. Import division. I must go for it. Import division. Div op import division. X1 and X2 values are there. Import first value, second value. Division of X1 comma X2. Division of X1 comma X2. X1 this one, X2 this one, and a division of X1 comma X2. And this division function, be careful, it is not a normal function because it is raising an exception. It is raising an exception. It is raising an exception. Suppose if you don't do this, for example, you don't do anything, only imported, okay, well and good. Try to execute this program. Later you will come to know. Execute it, say see this one, and come out of that. Go to the command prompt, my dear students. Go to the command prompt. Yes, here you see G colon CD caviar Python 6 p.m. Yes, there it is called what? EXCEP. Yes, you see PY. Yes, division demo asking first value and then second value which is coming. Of course, you did not hold the input here. Value is returning. Now you need to say result. You did not get that result. Now you are saying print division is equal to comma what you are saying result. Now just to say, now you run, enter first value, yes, second value, I got a division is equal to 5.0. Division is equal to 5.0. I hope you are getting that. Now you see carefully 10 and 0 you enter. See my dear students, such a bigger technical error message is coming. And last you see exCEP dot, what is the exception? KVR division error is coming. KVR division error is coming. exCEP is a module name and this is an exception. Which message this is called? Everybody please. Which message it is? Technical error message. Which exception is coming? Technical error message is coming. Would you like to handle anything there? Would you like to handle something there? Yes, I would like to handle. Shall I handle it? Yes. Now I will write it. This statement under what? Try. This statement under try. Yes. Then what I will do it here? exCEPT. Which exception I need to write it? KVR division error. See, first time you are writing KVR 0 division error. Yes, beautiful. There you are saying print off. What is this? Print off KVR division error. What is that? Don't enter. See, don't enter 0 for denominator. Don't enter 0 for denominator. And this part I will write it in else part. Else I am writing. In else part I am writing this area. Division. This is in else part. If result is done nicely and result is coming. If an exception is coming, KVR 0 division error is coming. Is it understandable, ma? Because in my program, finally also I will write it. Actually, finally is not necessary. Just because in my program all keywords are there now. That's why I am writing. I am from finally block. I am from which block? Finally block. Beautiful. Finally block. Yes. So let us save this code once. And KVR division error is taken. Now I need to import also from exCEP import KVR 0 division error. See that? Importing, handling the exception, and then see my own exception is written. First time you are writing your own exception. Don't enter 0 for denominator. Execute. Start. Now you say 100 and then 50. Perfect input is entered and happily done. 150. taken by this program and passing the value to whom? Division of x1 and x2, it will go to div op, ab 150, 50 is equal to 0, false. False means it is coming to this else part. 100 by 50 is called 2, return 2, return 2. 2 is written to the main program. This result is coming here, no exception, else block is printing, finally block is printing. I hope division is coming. I am from finally block. Is it understandable, my dear students? Is it understandable, my dear students, all of you? Yes, sir. Good. Let us enter into the 100 and 0 you enter. 100 and 0 is taken and passing to division function 100 and 0. Sending to whom? div op, ab 100 and 0. 0 double equal to 0 is 0 double equal to 0 is called true, and raise KVR division error. KVR division error. Here raise is used for what? Hitting or generating the exception. Here raise is used for hitting or generating the exception. Once an exception is hitting, it is coming back to where? Except block handling. There it is handling, here it is handling the exception. So this program is handling the exception. Main program handling the exception. Handling the exception. How many things we are supposed to develop? 3 things are there. One is called what? One is called what? Development of exception. This is called what? Development of exception. Sorry, this one. Development of exception. Second one is called what? Hitting of exception. Hitting of. This is called what? Handling the exception. How many things are required? How many things are required? 3 things are required. Developing the exception, hitting the exception, handling the exception. That part you must take care here. During the development of, here I am writing, one note point I am writing. During the development of, yes sir, I am writing. During the development of what? Programmer defined exceptions. Programmer defined exceptions. During the development of programmer defined exceptions. During the development of what? Programmer defined exceptions. Fine. During the development of programmer defined exceptions, we must ensure that there must be three phases. They are, I'm writing there, they are, yes, A, what is it? What is A? Development of exception subclass. Exception subclass. That is nothing but withdraw is called exception subclass. Okay. Second part is called what? Second one is called what? Hitting of exceptions. Hitting of the exceptions. Hitting the exceptions. Hitting the exceptions. By using which keyword? By using which keyword? Raise keyword. Excellent. By using raise keyword. Super. Raise keyword. Next, C is called what? Handling the exception. Handling the exception. Handling the exceptions. By using which keyword? Try and accept. Try and what? Accept. Try and accept. Try and accept. Development of exception subclass. Hitting the exception by using raise keyword. Handling the exception by using try and accept. Handling the exception by using try and accept. Is it understandable? Is it understandable or not? Yes. So, if you really follow me, which keyword is actually making the birth of exception? Carefully tell me. Which keyword is actually making the birth of exception? Excellent. Raise keyword. Raise. Once exception is raised, who will handle it? Next keywords are what in order? You tell me. Try. Next what? Accept. Super. Super. After that, what? Try except. After that, no exception. Else. After that, what? Finally. What is an order of the keywords, please? What is an order of the keywords, please? What is an order of the keywords, please? Order of the keywords are raise, 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 rise. Yes. Next is called try, except, else, and finally normal. That is normal. First keyword is raise. I hope you are understanding. So if you want me to understand development of exception, if you want to have any kind of note here, I will write it here, something like this. What is an example here? What is an example? I will write it. Example UC. Example UC. What is an example? I will paste this part. I will paste this part. Okay. Same thing. I will paste it. I'll paste it. I'll paste it. Yes. Next part is called what? B point. I'm going to talk about it. B point. What is the B point? Hitting the exception by using raise keyword. Hitting the exception by using raise keyword. Hitting the exception by using which keyword? Raise keyword. What is that exception? Hitting the exception by using raise keyword. This part. This part I will use it. This part I will use it. Yes. So coming to the point back, hitting the exception file name and treated as a module name. See that keyword here, raise, raise. Okay. Now I will take it. One more kind of thing, one more type of thing. What is that next? Handling the exception. One more also I will write it. Handling the exception by using what? Handling the exception by using like this. So that part also I will write it. That part also I will write it. Examples, these are all called. That is examples. Examples. So you may ask a question, sir, can I write everything in one place only? Happily you can write it. In one line also, in one place only you can write it. But I am writing according to the real time. We are supposed to write in different places, not in the same place. These are called just like a modules. Just like a modules. Dear students, is it okay? Is it understandable? Is it okay? Is it understandable, my dear students? Yes. Any difficulty? Did you feel any difficulty? Good. No difficulty, right? And you felt very well. Nice. Right, ma? Fine. So I want to go for raise keyword is there. Raise keyword. Now I will fill up this. What is the perfect of raise keyword? Raise is a keyword. Raise is a keyword. It is not a block like others, ma. Raise is a keyword. It is not a block. Try is a block. Except is a block. Finally is the block. Else is a block. But raise is only a keyword, dear students. The purpose of raise a keyword. Now I am writing. The purpose of which keyword? Raise a keyword. Raise a keyword is that the purpose of which keyword? Raise a keyword is that to hit the exception. To hit or what? Generate the exception. To hit or generate the exception. To hit or generate the exception after some condition is satisfied. When certain condition is satisfied. I will write. When certain condition is satisfied. When certain condition is satisfied. Certain condition is satisfied. I hope you are understanding what I am talking. I hope you are understanding. The purpose of raise keyword is that to hit or generate the exception when certain condition is satisfied. Sir, what is the syntax? What is the syntax? Now I am writing syntax number 1. Syntax number 1. What is the syntax number 1? If test condition. Now I am writing raise. I will write raise exception class name. Exception class name. You need to be careful. Exception class name. Syntax number 2, I will take up. Syntax number 2. It is just like one syntax. Syntax number 2. Raise keyword, I will write. Raise keyword, I will use in the method definition, function name of list of formal params, indentation symbol, indentation, I am writing. If test condition one thing. What is that? Next I will write it. No problem. If test condition 2, raise another exception. Raise exception class name 1, raise exception class name 2, raise exception class name 2, raise exception. This is class name 1, exception class name 1. This is exception class name 2. Yes, here I will write raise exception class name 2. Next, like this, I may have many more conditions like this. I have many more conditions like this. So I will write exception, test condition n, raise exception class name n, I can write. Class name 1, class name 2, test condition n number of conditions are there. Are you understanding? I can raise any number of exceptions here. I hope you are understanding what I am talking about. Fine? Yes. So syntax also we completed. And related to that example, here there is an example, raising an exception. And it is not going to be a one example. I'll give you in the next class. A big example I will cover. Is it understandable, my dear students? And today students are very less today. So only 60% is present. 40% is absent. Tomorrow, I don't know how many of you will present. Tomorrow I will solve the ATM case study. I will tell you. ATM case study. Many more exceptions are going to be addressing now. Many exceptions are going to be explaining. Many more big exception handling programs I am going to develop. It's a case study. Piyush, still celebrating Diwali. Okay. So let them celebrate Diwali. We will celebrate Python Diwali. Okay. So, Diwali effect, this is Lavanya. Yeah. Okay. No problem. Tomorrow class, we will go for, yes, ma. Yeah. Tomorrow class, I will go for ATM case study. Many number of programmer defined exceptions I will develop. Okay. Please don't miss it. Very, very important. Thank you. Good day. All the best. Okay, Suresh. Okay, today is the main festival in UP, na? Okay. Fine. Maybe that's why. Okay. Okay, ma. Right. So, tomorrow, first we will go for this ATM application. I will develop it, ma. Don't miss tomorrow class. Monday, I will go for files topic. I will explain. Files. I will introduce the files topic. Monday. Tomorrow, it will be over. Okay? Thank you. All the best.